Hello and bienvenido, San Antonio. Welcome to the Alamo Hour, discussing the people, places, and passion that make our city. My name is Justin Hill, a local attorney, a proud San Antonian, and keeper of chickens and bees. On the Alamo Hour, you'll get to hear from the people that make San Antonio great and unique and the best kept secret in Texas. We're glad that you're here. All right, welcome to the Alamo Hour. Today's guest is Gerry Goldstein. Gerry is a criminal defense lawyer with Goldstein and Orr. I could go on and on about all of your lawyer accolades and awards, but we'd be here all day. Recently inducted into the Criminal Defense Hall of Fame. Gerry, you're a personal hero to me. I read about you in law school. I learned about you in law school. And then you randomly show up in a restaurant after I'd had way too many drinks about 6 years ago. And I thought it'd be a good idea to go up and introduce myself. And you were so gracious and so classy, and so was your wife. And I asked you to get a beer with me at some point, and I'm a nobody, fifth-year lawyer, and you agreed and met me for a beer. And I thought that was just the coolest thing.
I learned a lot from my fellow lawyers and brothers and sisters in San Antonio. What a wonderful place to have grown up and continued my practice. Thank you so much, Justin.
I agree. The San Antonio Express, I read, one of the writers was so gracious to call you a rich libertarian and druggy mouthpiece, and that was something you were very proud of. And I found that to be pretty funny when I was doing some research for this.
That was Paul Thompson, who had a front page column, and he maligned me weekly, and probably was the best. I'm not a big fan of advertising, but I will tell you it was the best advertising any lawyer could ever get.
That's when the newspaper wrote a little different than it does now, it seems like.
It was, but so did the judges and lawyers.
Fair enough. Okay, so I do this with everybody, and it's really exciting to do it with you. A sort of top 10. Who knows how many it will be, but you have grown up in San Antonio. You now have a house just blocks away from where you actually grew up in the King William area. You throw a fiesta party that is famous that I knew about immediately when I moved here. I mean, I saw a guy pushing a shopping cart full of booze down Alamo one day, and I said, "Where are you going?" And he said he was going to restock your party during Fiesta. So, it precedes you.
Thank you. I take that as the highest form of flattery, Justin.
No, I mean, it's legendary. What are some of your favorite spots in San Antonio?
Years ago in the late 60s and early 70s, we actually opened and owned the original Friendly Spot, which was at the corner of Beauregard and Alamo, which the Alcoholic Beverage Commission shut down after the number 2 dinners played and the crowd spilled out into the middle of the street. We own the Beauregard. So, and my wife obviously has nixed any more bars or restaurants, but I still hang out at La Tuna. I think it's a wonderful spot, although it's been encroached upon by all these new condos and apartment buildings. But I grew my long teeth hanging out at the Esquire back in the old days. Wine 101 out in Helotes, I think, is a wonderful spot. I did my time crawling back home from the local wineries and various alcohol spots in the King William area where I had grown up.
Well, so Jody Newman was the first guest on the Alamo Hour, who's now the Friendly Spot owner, and you and I went to La Tuna. That was where we met for drinks that day. What are some of the biggest biggest changes you've seen in San Antonio in the last 20 or 30 years?
Well, having grown up in the King William area before it knew it was historic, it was a serious slum. And it's become gentrified. But I think San Antonio is unique in the fact that it has, and I'm very proud of this, we have maintained our historic character. Rather than tear down our buildings and building modern structures like Dallas and Houston in Texas, we take pride in our historic city. And, when I grew up 3 blocks from downtown. The river was my backyard. And back then it was like a jungle. I mean, it was exciting for a young kid to have that as his playground. I mean, not at all what you see now. And we had a wonderful relationship with downtown San Antonio, having grown up there. And that hasn't changed. I mean, it's still, there weren't the restaurants that we now have, but there weren't the dives. And when I was a little kid, I wouldn't have known a dive if I'd seen one. But I think San Antonio is proud of its history, and for good reason. It is a historic place. I mean, people all over the country tell me, well, Goldstein, you don't sound like you're from Texas. I would like to tell them, hey, look, if I had an accent unique to San Antonio, it would be Hispanic.
Yeah,
the truth is, South Texas is different from the rest of what people think is the stereotypical Texan. And I think we're very lucky. We've now got wonderful restaurants. I love La Frite. Azuca's wonderful. La Focaccia is great. In the Blue Star, you have Stella and Halcyon. Bliss is down there. There's just one restaurant battalion, one restaurant after another, and I can walk to them. And more importantly, after imbibing in a little fruit of the wine, I can make my way home
safely
without having to drive through traffic.
Yeah, I think Azuka might be shut down. I drove by the other day and it looks like it's gone.
Well, no, it's still open. You just need to be there on the right. The COVID-19 has taken its toll on everything, but they're still open.
Okay.
And I was there the other night, and they have a wonderful owners and wonderful clientele. And La Frite, when I'm in town, I probably eat there twice a week.
So good.
Yeah.
I liked Azuka's run at the fish restaurant that didn't last very long. I thought that was great too.
That was his son, who, by the way, was a graduate of the CIA, the Culinary Institute in New York. And I understand he's now doing well and has, he is a chef. I think it was called Starfish.
Yeah, that's it.
And he went to California and then was in Dallas. And I think now is in another resort and doing well for himself. And his parents are delightful people who I consider close friends, like I do most of the restaurateurs down there. I hang out and they treat me very well. And I think they treat everyone.
Yeah, I had Stefan from Battalion on. I mean, I've kind of gone through a lot of the restaurateurs. I think it's because I eat too much, but
me too. Me too. But we can do well in the King William area.
Yeah, no, I mean that's really happened in the last 10 years, really.
It has.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm proud of what we have done. And while if you look at like the Pearl, when I was in elementary school, Kid Goldsberry was a classmate of mine. We got kicked out of the.
Is that right?
We got kicked out for putting the cherry bombs in the girls' toilets in the restrooms. And when he first married Linda Goldsberry, but it was Linda Pace. When they got a divorce, I think he paid $100 million or something for Pace, her interest in Pace Picante. And I went around saying he was the dumbest kid in my elementary class. And within a year, he sold it for $1.3 billion or something. And there was only one dumb kid in my elementary school, and it was me.
What school was that?
Yeah. And pardon?
What school?
Travis Elementary.
Okay.
And I went on to Mark Twain and then Jefferson, which, and I made great friends in Senate. There are still high school friends that we see each other regularly. We still reunite on a regular basis and reminisce about. I've been to jail in more than one country with some of my classmates. If you look at what Goldsberry did with the Pearl, and we can, that's a unique spot, I think, in Texas and around the country. What a wonderful tradition San Antonio takes pride in.
Yeah, I mean, he's left a lasting legacy with the Pearl and everything that's going to grow up around it.
No question. I want to apologize publicly to him for all the bad things I said.
One of the unique things about San Antonio's Fiesta. What's your favorite Fiesta event other than King William Parade?
Well, I have to admit that the fair is my favorite, but as a kid, when we were, I could walk down to